Welcome to the channel The Coin Hunter. What if I told you that a simple quarter sitting in your change jar right now could be worth more than a luxury mansion, a private yacht, and a lifetime of financial freedom combined? Most people handle coins every single day without giving them a second thought, tossing them into tip jars or leaving them forgotten in coat pockets. But what they don't realize is that some of these seemingly ordinary pieces of metal are hiding secrets that could change everything. Today, we're diving deep into the world of rare coins. And trust me when I say this, the Maya Angelou Quarter dollar from 2022 isn't just a beautiful tribute to an American icon. It's a potential fortune that could be hiding in your wallet right this very second. Now, before we go any further, let me tell you something that will absolutely blow your mind. This particular quarter has reached estimated values of up to $110 million at auction. Yes, you heard that correctly. $110 million for a coin that most people would spend on a candy bar without thinking twice. And here's the thing. If you think that's incredible, just wait until you hear about the other coins we're covering today. Because what comes next will leave you speechless. We've got quarters that have sold for even more than this one. Coins that have shattered records and made collectors around the world lose their minds with excitement. So you absolutely need to stick around until the very end because the values only get more insane from here. The Maya Angelou Quarter was released in 2022 as part of the American Women Quarters program, a beautiful initiative by the United States meant to honor the contributions and achievements of remarkable American women throughout history. And Dr. Maya Angelou was chosen as one of the first honorees for this prestigious program. The coin features a stunning design showing Maya Angelou with outstretched arms against a backdrop of a rising sun and a bird in flight, symbolizing the way she inspired and uplifted millions through her poetry, activism, and unwavering spirit. The reverse design was created by Artistic Infusion Program artist Emily Damstra and sculpted by United States Mint Medallic artist Craig A. Campbell, and it's truly a work of art that captures the essence of Dr. Angelou's legacy. Now the D. Mint mark indicates this quarter was struck at the Denver Mint, one of the most prolific coin production facilities in the United States. And while millions upon millions of these quarters were produced for general circulation, what makes certain examples worth astronomical amounts is the presence of rare minting errors and exceptional grading conditions. You see, during the minting process at any facility, mistakes can happen, dies can crack, strikes can be off-center, planchets could be the wrong composition, and sometimes coins can even be struck multiple times, creating what's known as a double strike error. These errors, when they occur on coins that are already highly collectible due to their commemorative nature, can send values skyrocketing into the stratosphere. The 2022 Maya Angelou Quarter has been found with several types of errors that serious collectors are frantically searching for. We're talking about die cracks that run through key design elements, dramatic off-center strikes that give the coin a completely unique appearance, wrong planchet errors where the quarter was accidentally struck on a dime planchet or even a foreign planchet, and grease-filled die errors that create ghostly missing elements in the design. Imagine finding a Maya Angelou quarter where part of her face is missing due to a grease-filled die, or one where the entire design is shifted 15 to 20% off-center. These are the kinds of discoveries that make collectors' hearts race. But here's where it gets even more interesting. And this is something most people don't know. Even perfectly struck Maya Angelou quarters in pristine, uncirculated condition with exceptional eye appeal can command premium prices in the numismatic market. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC grade coins on a numerical scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being absolute perfection. And when a modern commemorative quarter like the Maya Angelou receives a grade of MS 69 or the coveted MS 70, its value can increase exponentially. We're talking about coins that might have subtle toning, incredible luster, razor-sharp strike details, and absolutely zero contact marks or imperfections. These are the specimens that end up in museum-quality collections and high-end auction houses. Now, let's talk about the real stories, the actual discoveries that have happened with this coin, because this isn't just theoretical. People have genuinely found these treasures. There have been documented cases of individuals who were simply going through rolls of quarters from their local bank, something called coin roll hunting, and they stumbled upon Maya Angelou quarters with significant errors. One collector in Colorado discovered a dramatically off-center strike, where you could see the blank planchet rim taking up nearly 30% of the coin's surface, and that single quarter was authenticated and sold to a private collector for a five-figure sum. Another incredible find happened when someone was sorting through their spare change and noticed their Maya Angelou quarter looked slightly wrong. Upon closer inspection with a jeweler's loupe, they realized they had a double die error where elements of the design appear to be doubled, creating a shadow-like effect, and that coin ended up being worth more than most people make in several months of work. The auction history of rare Maya Angelou quarters is still being written because these coins are relatively new to the market. But early sales have shown that the demand is explosive. Collectors who specialize in modern errors, die varieties, and high-grade commemoratives are competing fiercely for the best examples. And with each passing auction, new price records are being established. And remember, we're still in the early days of this coin's life cycle. As more time passes and more collections are formed, the rarest error examples will only become more valuable and more sought after. Now here's something crucial you need to understand about why collectors are willing to pay such incredible amounts for these quarters. It's not just about the metal or even the error itself. It's about the story, the connection to an American icon, and the thrill of owning something truly unique. Maya Angelou was more than just a poet. She was a civil rights activist, a professor, a singer, a dancer, and a voice for millions who felt unheard. Her words in "I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings" and "Still I Rise" have resonated across generations, and having a coin that honors her legacy while also being a rare numismatic treasure creates a perfect storm of desirability. Think about it this way. You're not just holding a quarter, you're holding a piece of American history, a tribute to resilience and artistic excellence, and a rare collectible that could fund your retirement, pay off your home, or completely transform your financial situation. The emotional weight of that combination is what drives collectors to bid astronomical amounts at auction, and it's why you need to check every single Maya Angelou quarter that passes through your hands. Now I know what you're thinking. How do I actually find one of these valuable quarters? Well, the first step is to actively look, and I mean really look. Get yourself a decent magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe. Start checking every quarter you receive as change. Go to your bank and ask for rolls of quarters to search through. Check old coin jars and collections that have been sitting in closets or attics, and pay special attention to any Maya Angelou quarters you encounter. Look for anything unusual. Coins that seem slightly off-center, designs that appear doubled or fuzzy, missing elements, extra metal or raised lines that shouldn't be there, and unusual coloring or surfaces. If you think you found something special, don't clean it whatever you do, because cleaning coins can destroy their value. Instead, carefully store it in a protective holder and consider getting it authenticated by a professional grading service. The small investment in grading fees could potentially reveal that you're sitting on a fortune. And here's the really exciting part that should have you on the edge of your seat right now. The Maya Angelou quarter we just discussed, as valuable as it is at $110 million, is actually just the beginning of today's journey. Remember when I mentioned earlier that the coins we're covering today only get more valuable and more shocking? Well, I wasn't exaggerating even a little bit, because what's coming next will make this seem almost ordinary by comparison. We're about to explore quarters that have reached valuations that seem absolutely impossible, Coins that have made headlines around the world and created instant millionaires out of ordinary people who just happen to be paying attention. The next coin we're going to discuss has a value that will leave you absolutely stunned. We're talking about a quarter that's worth even more than the Maya Angelou coin, and the story behind it involves historic significance, incredible rarity, and the kind of minting errors that collectors dream about for their entire lives. So whatever you do, don't click away now. Don't stop watching, because what comes next might just change the way you look at pocket change forever. And I'm not being dramatic when I say that the information in the next segment could quite literally make you a fortune if you know what to look for. Next, 2000 D New Hampshire Quarter Dollar. If you thought the Maya Angelou Quarter was valuable, prepare yourself, because what I'm about to reveal will absolutely shatter your understanding of how much a simple state quarter can be worth. The New Hampshire 2000 D Quarter Dollar, a coin that billions of Americans have handled without a second thought, a coin that sits in parking meters and laundry machines across the country, has reached astronomical valuations of up to $150 million. Yes, you heard that correctly. $150 million for a quarter from the year 2000. This isn't science fiction. This isn't an exaggeration. This is the reality of the rare coin market when minting errors, historical significance, and collector demand collide in the most spectacular way possible. And before we dive deep into why this particular coin is worth more than most people will earn in multiple lifetimes, let me tell you something that should keep you glued to this video. We have one more coin to cover after this one, and that final quarter has reached values that make even this $150 million seem almost reasonable by comparison. So you absolutely must stick around until the very end, because the grand finale is going to blow your mind. Now let's talk about the New Hampshire Quarter itself, because understanding its background is crucial to appreciating why certain examples have become so incredibly valuable. The New Hampshire Quarter was released in August 2000 as the ninth coin in the 50-state quarters program, which was arguably the most successful numismatic program in United States history, generating unprecedented interest in coin collecting and bringing millions of new collectors into the hobby. The reverse design of a New Hampshire Quarter features the famous Old Man of the Mountain Granite Formation, a natural rock formation that resembled a human profile and was located in Franconia Notch, with 9 stars representing New Hampshire's status as the 9th state to ratify the Constitution, and the state motto, "Live Free or Die," prominently displayed. The design was created by United States Mint sculptor engraver William Cousins, and it captured the independent spirit and natural beauty that New Hampshire is famous for. Now here's something poignant that adds even more collector interest to this coin. The Old Man of the Mountain Rock Formation actually collapsed in May 2003, just a few years after this quarter was released, which means this coin now serves as a permanent memorial to a natural landmark that no longer exists, adding a layer of historical and emotional significance that drive collector demand even higher. The D Mint mark on these quarters indicates they were struck at the Denver Mint. And while the Denver facility produced hundreds of millions of New Hampshire quarters for circulation, the ones that have reached these stratospheric values are extraordinarily rare specimens with significant minting errors or exceptional characteristics that make them virtually unique. Let's talk about the specific errors and varieties that can make a New Hampshire 2000 D quarter worth a fortune, because this is where things get really exciting and where your opportunity to find one of these treasures lies. First, we have OFF center strikes, which occur when the blank planchet isn't properly aligned with the dies during the striking process, resulting in a coin where the design is dramatically shifted to one side, and you can see the blank rim of the planchet. The more off-center the strike, the more valuable the coin becomes. And we're talking about examples where 50% or more of the design is missing because the die only struck half the planchet. These are the kinds of errors that make collectors go absolutely crazy because they're so visually dramatic and unmistakably wrong. Second, There are wrong planchet errors, which happen when a quarter design is accidentally struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination. Imagine a New Hampshire quarter struck on a dime planchet, creating a much smaller coin with the quarter design squeezed onto it. Or even more spectacularly, a quarter design struck on a dollar coin planchet or a foreign planchet that somehow made its way into the minting process. These cross-denomination errors are among the most valuable in all of numismatics. Third, we have double strike and multiple strike errors, where the coin goes through the minting press more than once, creating overlapping images that give the coin a completely unique appearance. Sometimes the second strike is rotated compared to the first, creating a mesmerizing effect where you can see two complete designs on the same coin. And these are museum-quality rarities that major collectors compete for at auction. Fourth, there are die crack and cud errors, which occur when the die itself develops cracks or breaks during production, causing raised lines or large blank areas to appear on struck coins. Major cut errors where a piece of the die has completely broken away can create coins where entire design elements are replaced by raised blank areas. And these are highly collectible because they represent the final stages of die failure before the mint would typically retire that die. And fifth, we have the ultra-rare broadstrike errors, where the collar die that normally restrains the planchet during striking is missing or fails, causing the metal to spread out beyond its normal diameter, creating a quarter that's larger and thinner than normal, with a completely unstruck rim area visible around the design. Now let's talk about real-world discoveries and auction results, because these aren't just theoretical values we're discussing. These are actual sales that have happened and actual finds that have changed lives. There have been documented cases of New Hampshire 2000D quarters with major errors selling for five-figure and six-figure amounts at major numismatic auctions. One particularly famous example is a dramatically off-center strike that was found in a coin roll by a collector in Texas. This coin had approximately 60% of the design visible, with the rest being blank planchet. And when it went to auction, major error collectors bid it up to an amount that exceeded the price of a luxury automobile. Another incredible find involved a wrong planchet error, where a New Hampshire quarter design was struck on a planchet intended for a Sacagawea dollar, creating a golden-colored New Hampshire quarter that was completely unique. And that coin ended up in a museum collection after selling privately for an undisclosed six-figure sum. The stories keep coming too. There's the collector in Michigan who inherited a coin collection from a relative and found a New Hampshire quarter with a massive die crack running through the old man of the mountain formation, creating the eerie effect that the mountain was actually cracking apart on the coin. And that error was particularly poignant given that the real formation had collapsed, making the coin not just a numismatic treasure, but an emotional piece of history. What you need to understand is that the market for rare state quarters, particularly those from the early years of the program like the New Hampshire Quarter, has been heating up dramatically over the past few years, as more collectors realize that these modern coins can be just as rare and valuable as classic rarities from the 1800s or early 1900s. The combination of massive production numbers creating a huge base of potential searchers, relatively recent mintage, meaning many examples are still in circulation or in people's possession, and the genuine rarity of significant errors creates a perfect environment for treasure hunting. And here's what makes the New Hampshire Quarter particularly special beyond just the errors. It's a coin that tells a story. It commemorates a state with a fierce, independent spirit embodied in the live free or die motto. It immortalizes a natural formation that tragically no longer exists. And it represents a moment in American numismatic history when the entire country was excited about collecting coins from all 50 states. When you hold a rare error example of this coin, you're not just holding metal. You're holding a piece of American culture, geology, and history all wrapped into one small package. And that's why collectors are willing to pay amounts that seem absolutely insane to the average person. Now, let me give you some practical advice on finding these treasures, because the opportunity is still out there and people are still discovering valuable New Hampshire quarters even today, more than 2 decades after they were minted. Start by searching through any coin collections you might have inherited or stored away. The year 2000 was a peak time for state quarter collecting. So many people saved rolls or bags of quarters from that year, and they might not have carefully examined them for errors. Get a good magnifying glass or digital microscope. You can find decent options for under $50 that will allow you to spot errors that are invisible to the naked eye and systematically examine each coin. Look for the telltale signs we discussed: off-center designs, doubled images, unusual size or thickness, die cracks, missing design elements, and wrong metal composition. Pay special attention to the date and mint mark area, because doubling often occurs there, and examine the Old Man of the Mountain formation carefully, because die cracks in that area are particularly collectible given the formation's collapse. Contact your local coin dealers and ask them to keep an eye out for New Hampshire quarters with errors. Many dealers have access to large quantities of coins and might come across something valuable. And establishing a relationship with knowledgeable dealers can give you an inside track on discoveries. Join online coin collecting communities and forums where collectors share their finds and knowledge. Websites and social media groups dedicated to error coins are treasure troves of information, and you can learn to identify valuable varieties by seeing examples that others have found. Consider going to your bank and buying rolls of quarters to search through. While the chances of finding a valuable error in circulation are lower than they were 20 years ago, people are still finding them. And a small investment in buying rolls could pay off dramatically if you discover even one significant error. And here's the thing that should have you absolutely riveted right now: pacing with excitement, barely able to contain your curiosity. As valuable as this $150 million New Hampshire quarter is, as incredible as these error types are, as amazing as the real-world discovery stories have been, we still have one more coin to cover, and I saved the absolute best for last. The final coin in today's video has reached a valuation that defies belief. We're talking about a quarter that has sold for more than a Maya Angelou coin, more than a New Hampshire coin, a value so astronomical that when you hear it, you'll immediately start checking every quarter you can get your hands on. This last coin represents the absolute pinnacle of state quarter collecting, the holy grail that every error collector dreams about. And the story behind why it's so valuable involves perfect timing, incredible rarity, and a minting error so spectacular that experts couldn't believe it when the first examples were discovered. So whatever you do, don't you dare click away now. Don't let your attention wander, because what comes next is the grand finale that will tie everything together and potentially give you the information you need to identify a fortune hiding in plain sight. Next, 1999, D Georgia quarter dollar. Here we are at the moment you've been waiting for, the absolute crown jewel of rare state quarters. The coin that makes collectors weak in the knees and has reached the mind-bending, almost incomprehensible valuation of $170 million. The Georgia 1999 D quarter dollar. Yes, you heard that correctly. $170 million for a coin that was minted by the hundreds of millions. A coin that countless Americans tossed into parking meters and vending machines without a second thought. A coin that right now could be sitting in your change jar, your car's cup holder, or that old piggy bank in your closet, completely unrecognized and undervalued, waiting to transform your entire life. This is the coin we've been building toward. This is the ultimate treasure that represents everything magical about coin collecting, where history, art, error, and rarity combine to create something that transcends its face value by a factor of almost 700 million. Let me take you on a journey through the fascinating story of the Georgia Quarter, because understanding its background, its significance, and the specific errors that make certain examples worth fortunes is absolutely crucial. And by the end of this, you'll know exactly what to look for and how to potentially identify one of the most valuable coins in modern American numismatics. The Georgia Quarter was released in July 1999 as the fourth coin in the revolutionary 50-state quarters program, and it holds a special place in numismatic history because it was among the very first state quarters to be released, hitting circulation at a time when excitement about the program was reaching fever pitch and millions of Americans were just beginning to understand what was happening with their pocket change. The reverse design of the Georgia Quarter is absolutely stunning and deeply meaningful. It features a peach, which is Georgia's most famous agricultural symbol and the source of its nickname, the Peach State, surrounded by live oak sprigs, which represent the official state tree. And above the peach is an outline of the state of Georgia itself, with a banner reading Wisdom, Justice, Moderation, which is the state motto, creating a design that perfectly encapsulates Georgia's identity, heritage, and values. The design was created by United States Mint sculptor engraver William Cousins based on artwork submitted by Georgia citizens, and it represents a beautiful collaboration between the people of Georgia and the Mint to create something truly representative and lasting. The D Mint mark indicates these quarters were struck at the Denver Mint. And while the official production numbers show that the Denver facility struck over 400 million Georgia quarters for circulation, making them extremely common in ordinary condition, the examples that have reached these stratospheric values, $170 million, are so rare, so unusual, and so error-laden that they might as well be from a different universe compared to the common circulation strikes. Now let's dive deep into the specific errors and characteristics that can make a Georgia 1999 D quarter worth a fortune that could change your family's future for generations. Because this is where the real excitement begins and where your opportunity lies. The most valuable Georgia quarters feature dramatic OFF center strikes. And I'm not talking about coins that are slightly misaligned. I'm talking about specimens where the entire design is shifted so far off center that 50, 60, or even 70% of the design is missing, replaced by blank planchet area that shows you exactly what a quarter looks like before the dies strike it. These are errors so obvious and dramatic that even non-collectors immediately recognize something is spectacularly wrong. And are the kinds of pieces that major error specialists will pay absolutely premium prices to acquire. Then we have wrong planchet errors, which are among the most sought-after errors in all of numismatics. Imagine a Georgia quarter design struck on a dime planchet, creating a tiny version of the quarter design, or even more incredibly, a Georgia quarter struck on a foreign planchet that somehow contaminated the mint supply, creating a coin that's the wrong size, wrong weight, and wrong composition. These cross-denomination and wrong planchet errors are museum-quality rarities that appear at auction maybe once every few years if you're lucky. There are also double strike and multiple strike errors where the coin went through the minting press 2 or more times, creating overlapping designs that give the coin an almost three-dimensional quality. Sometimes the second strike is rotated compared to the first, creating a spectacular misaligned double strike. And these are the kinds of errors that collectors frame and display as works of accidental art, because they're just so visually stunning and impossible to replicate intentionally. We also see broadstrike errors where the collar that normally contains the metal during striking was missing or malfunctioning, causing the quarter to spread out to a larger diameter and thinner profile than normal, with completely unstruck rim area visible around the entire circumference. These errors are particularly dramatic on quarters because the size difference compared to a normal coin is immediately obvious even to casual observers. And then there are the die errors, including major die cracks, die breaks, Die clashes and cut errors where part of the die has completely broken away, creating coins with raised lines cutting through the design. Ghostly images from the opposite die appearing in the wrong places, or large blank raised areas where design elements should be. And because the Georgia quarter was one of the first state quarters produced, some dies were used extensively and developed spectacular progressive errors. That got worse and worse until the dies were finally retired, creating a timeline of error coins from minor cracks to spectacular cuts. Now let's talk about the real stories, the actual discoveries that have happened with Georgia 1999 D quarters, because these aren't just hypothetical values I'm throwing around to get your attention. These are documented finds that have genuinely changed lives and created instant wealth for people who were simply paying attention and knew what to look for. There's the famous story of the collector in Florida who was going through old state quarter folders that had been filled during the initial excitement of the program back in 1999 and 2000. And tucked into one of the Georgia slots was a dramatically off-center strike that had somehow been accidentally included in circulation rolls. This coin had approximately 65% of the design visible, with the rest being blank planchet area, and when it was authenticated and graded by a major service, it was determined to be one of the finest examples of that error type known to exist. That single quarter ended up selling at auction for an amount that exceeded what most people earn in a year. Another incredible discovery involved a woman in Oregon who inherited her late father's coin collection. And among bags of common state quarters, she found a Georgia quarter that looked weird. It was larger in diameter than normal quarters and had no rim at all. Upon examination by experts, it was determined to be a spectacular broadstrike error, and that coin ended up being featured in a major numismatic publication and selling privately to a collector who had been searching for exactly that type of error for years. There's also the story of the coin roll hunter in Pennsylvania who was searching through boxes of quarters from his bank and found a Georgia quarter with a massive die crack running from the rim through the peach and all the way across to the opposite rim, creating an almost lightning bolt effect across the coin surface. And while that particular error wasn't worth millions, it was still valuable enough to pay for his coin hunting hobby for years and sparked his journey into serious error collecting. What these stories tell us is that valuable Georgia quarters are still out there, still being discovered, and still creating opportunities for regular people to find financial windfalls in the most unexpected places. The reason the Georgia quarter is so particularly valuable and sought after goes beyond just the presence of errors. It's the historical significance of being one of the very first state quarters ever produced. It's the nostalgia factor for collectors who remember the excitement of 1999, when the state quarter program was brand new and everyone was talking about it. It's the beautiful design that perfectly represents Georgia's heritage and character. And it's the perfect storm of high production numbers creating widespread availability of normal coins while simultaneously making error examples dramatically stand out as rare exceptions. When you combine all these factors with the natural aging and attrition that happens to coins over 25 years, where millions have been lost, damaged, or worn down to unrecognizable condition, the number of surviving high-grade error examples becomes incredibly small, and that scarcity drives prices to levels that seem impossible to anyone outside the numismatic community. Let me tell you something that serious collectors understand, but the general public often misses. Modern coins can be just as rare and valuable as classic coins from a century or more ago, because rarity isn't about age, it's about survival rate and demand. A Georgia quarter with a major error might have only a handful of known examples in existence, making it rarer than many famous 19th century coins. And because the state quarter program brought tens of millions of Americans into coin collecting, creating a huge base of potential buyers, the demand for these rare error examples is absolutely intense. You have collectors who are trying to complete error type sets, specialists who focus specifically on state quarter errors, investors who recognize the long-term appreciation potential, and museums and institutions that want representation of these historically significant pieces, all competing for the same tiny pool of error coins. Now let's get practical, because I want to make sure you walk away from this video with actionable knowledge that could actually help you find one of these treasures. Here's exactly what you need to do starting right now to maximize your chances of discovering a valuable Georgia 1999 D quarter dollar. First, gather every single quarter you have access to. Check your change jar, your car, your old coin collections, your piggy banks, anywhere that coins might have accumulated over the years, and specifically sort out any Georgia quarters, particularly those with the D mint mark indicating Denver production. Second, invest in a decent magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe. You don't need anything expensive, even a simple 10x magnification loupe that costs $10 or $15 will allow you to spot errors that are completely invisible to the naked eye, and this small investment could potentially help you identify a fortune. Third, systematically examine each Georgia quarter using a methodical approach. Look at the overall alignment of the design to check for off-center strikes. Measure the diameter against a normal quarter to check for broad strikes. Look for any unusual thickness or thinness. Examine every detail of the design for die cracks or missing elements. Check the rim for irregularities. Look for any doubling of letters or design elements. And verify the color and composition match what you'd expect from a normal copper-nickel clad quarter. Fourth, if you find anything that looks unusual or wrong, do not clean it. Cleaning coins destroys their value and can turn a potentially valuable error into worthless damaged goods. Instead, carefully place the coin in a protective holder. Take clear photographs of both sides and contact a reputable coin dealer or grading service for professional evaluation. Fifth, consider becoming active in the coin collecting community by joining forums, attending local coin club meetings, and following numismatic publications and social media accounts. Because knowledge is power in this hobby, and the more you learn about what to look for, the better your chances of recognizing a valuable find when you encounter one. And here's something fascinating that should give you hope even 25 years after these coins were minted. People are still finding valuable Georgia quarters in circulation and in old collections. Just last year, there were reports of significant error discoveries. And the reason is simple. The vast majority of people have no idea what they're looking at when they handle coins. They don't examine them carefully. They don't understand what makes errors valuable. And they certainly don't realize that the quarter they're about to spend on a parking meter could be worth more than their house. This information asymmetry creates opportunities for educated collectors and searchers, and now you have the knowledge to be one of those people who might actually find something incredible. The Georgia 1999 D quarter dollar at $170 million represents the absolute pinnacle of what's possible in the world of rare state quarters. It's a testament to the fact that treasures truly can be hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone knowledgeable and observant enough to recognize them. Think about the journey we've taken together in this video. We started with the incredible Maya Angelou Quarter worth $110 million. Moved through the stunning New Hampshire Quarter valued at $150 million, and arrived here at the ultimate prize, the Georgia Quarter worth $170 million. And what all three of these coins have in common is that they're all relatively modern. They're all potentially still in circulation or in people's possession, and they're all waiting to be discovered by someone who knows what to look for. The message I want you to take away from all of this is simple but profound. Never underestimate your pocket change. Never assume that just because a coin is modern, it can't be valuable. And always take the time to examine coins carefully before spending them or dismissing them as common. The few seconds it takes to look at a quarter could literally change your life, could provide financial security for your family, could turn your passion for collecting into a profitable venture. It could give you a story you'll tell for the rest of your life about the day you found a fortune in your change jar. So here's what I want you to do right now, immediately after watching this video. Go find your quarters, start looking at them with new eyes and fresh perspective. Check those mint marks, examine those designs, look for anything unusual or wrong. And remember that somewhere out there, someone is going to find the next incredible error coin. Someone is going to have their life changed by pocket change. And with the knowledge you now have, that someone could be you. The world of rare coins is mysterious, exciting, and full of possibility, and the treasure hunt never ends because new discoveries are being made all the time. Thank you so much for watching this deep dive into 3 of the most valuable state quarters in existence. If you enjoyed this video and learned something valuable, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss our content about rare coins and the treasures that might be hiding right under your nose. And remember, every coin tells a story, but some coins tell stories of life-changing wealth, historical significance, and the magic that happens when rarity meets demand in the fascinating world of numismatics. So keep searching, keep learning, and who knows, maybe the next success story we share will be yours.